Today, we're going to show you how to replace the shaft cap on the Force Kraken Trolling Motor. For this process, we will need a number 1 and number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, 2.5mm hex bit driver, clippers, zip ties, and the replacement shaft cap. First, remove the 4 screws located under the shaft cap using a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. Now, remove the shaft cap. Then, disconnect the USB cable and data cable from the antenna box. Disconnect the sonar cable if you have a freshwater trolling motor. Next, cut the 2 zip ties holding the power and ground cables using clippers. Pull back the rubber covers on the power and ground cables. Then, remove the set screws on the power and ground cables using a 2.5mm hex bit driver. Now, remove the 4 screws holding the cable coil bracket using the number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. Disconnect the power and ground cables in the shaft cap. Slide the cable bracket off the coil cable and remove it from the opening of the bottom of the shaft cap. Now, remove the rubber covers from the power and ground wires. This will provide clearance to pull the cables from the shaft. Next, remove the 2 bolts, washers, and nuts at the base of the shaft cap using a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. Slide the bottom shaft cap housing from the shaft. Then, slide the rubber wedge off the shaft. Make sure you leave the shaft O-ring on the shaft. Align the new rubber wedge provided in the service kit on the slot along the shaft. Feed the cables through the bottom of the shaft cap. Then, align the bottom of the shaft cap to the notch of the shaft and slide it down on the rubber wedge. Install the new sets of bolts, washers, and nuts in the base of the shaft cap using a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. Then, insert the coil cable into the opening on the bottom of the shaft cap housing. Slide the bracket onto the coil cable. Now, align the bracket with the 4 holes on the bottom of the shaft cap housing. Tighten the 4 screws provided in the service kit using a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. Place the rubber covers over the power and ground wires. Then, reconnect the power and ground cable. Tighten the set screws on the power and ground cables using a 2.5mm hex bit driver. Slide the rubber covering back over the power and ground cables. Now, secure the power and ground cables to the bottom of the shaft cap using 2 zip ties. Reconnect the sonar cable if one is present. Make sure the split connector and rubber O-ring are attached before tightening. If the top of the shaft cap is also being replaced, use a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 4 screws holding the antenna to the top of the housing. Next, remove the antenna. Align the new antenna to the 4 holes on the top of the shaft cap. Reinsert and tighten the 4 screws using the number 1 Phillips head screwdriver to secure the new antenna. Now, reconnect the USB and the data cable to the antenna box. Then, place the lid back on the shaft cap. Finally, insert and tighten the 4 screws securing the lid of the shaft cap using the number 2 Phillips head screwdriver. And that's it. Thanks for watching. For more help, please visit marinesupport.garmin.com.